Good morning, Essex. Good morning. It is great to see all of you this morning. Welcome to worship, whether you are on site or online, watching on Facebook or YouTube. We are so glad that you have joined us this morning for worship. My name is Dave Stambaugh, and it is great to be with you today. I'd love to just direct your attention to a couple announcements in your bulletin. Excuse me, if you wouldn't mind. As you can see, Chunky Campbell Soup is the requested backpack item for the month for our Outreach and Justice Ministry. You can see a few of them on the altar as well. We'll be getting to that in just a short moment. We're also desperately watching the weather for Saturday, for the parade, the Essex Go Brah parade this weekend. As of now, they're calling for rain. Do me a favor. Pray for sun. It'll be great to march with all of you fine folks at the parade this weekend. If you, I can see many of you have worn your outfits for the parade this morning. You're all in green. It looks wonderful. If you don't have any hats or necklaces or something like that, you're in luck, because Joan Hill brought some extras today. On your way out, the Methodist Hill entrance, there's a couple extra hats. My sense is if you go to the dollar store now, you might get it at 50% off. So take a look. Oh, Cindy says there's nothing. It's all gone. Go to Walmart. She says, go to Walmart. But I hope you'll join us as we march next week. That would be fantastic. If you want to donate flowers for this, for our Easter Sunday service, there is a order form in the lobby. We would love to have you fill out those and get those in as soon as you can. That would be fantastic as well. Or give, fantastic. Thank you very much. See Susan Jobson with those as well. Today, folks, is the fourth Sunday of Lent, 6 weeks before Easter. As we prepare, this is our fourth Sunday of Lent, where we focus on spiritual disciplines. Things like fasting and prayer and study and service. And today is also one of those wonderful days, one of those special days in our congregation, where we get to live out our faith in a very practical way. One of my favorite Sundays here. You can see, as I mentioned earlier, the altar is set. Our table is set for our midwinter meal assembly and one great hour of sharing, how we take care of folks around us. It's also a little bit of a hymn sing Sunday as well. You will see the hymns that are listed in your bulletin and on the hymn board as well are all about loving God and loving our neighbor. We're going to start with one that's kind of short and sweet. It's a song that we sang on Ash Wednesday, Spirit of the Living God. Let's sing it twice through as we begin this morning, number 283 in your black hymnal. Let's rise together in body or spirit.
Spirit of the living God, fall
Peace be with you.
And also with you.
Before you sit down, let me invite you to turn to your neighbor, who this week might be a choir member, because they're all sitting with you this morning. Greet a choir member and greet them with the peace of Christ. That was kind of fun. I didn't want anybody to worry that the choir wasn't here this morning when they looked up and didn't see anybody in the loft, but it's great to see you all. We have a number of requests for prayers that are in your bulletin. There are a number of names of those folks who have asked for your prayers, and so what we would love to do is invite you to continue to pray for them. Are there others that you would like to lift up at this time? Are there joys or concerns that you would like to share this morning? Bob Johnson, thanks very much. Bob Johnson has a cough this morning. You didn't greet Bob Johnson in the choir. He had a little congestion, a little cough this morning, so he's taking the morning off. So, Bob, I hope you're watching us later. Everybody do me a favor. Turn and wave to Bob Johnson and say, "We hope you get better soon, Bob. Be well." Would you do me a favor? Bow your heads with me as we spend a few moments in prayer this morning. Good and gracious God, we do give you thanks, and we give you praise for the opportunity to come together this morning, and not only to worship, but to live out our faith in real and practical ways, by loving you and also loving our neighbor. We pray that we would be mindful of the fact that you have created us in your image so that we might reflect your image and your grace in the world around us. May our lives shine forth with the light of your love so that we may honor and serve you by loving and serving others. Open our eyes to see your presence among us, and open our hearts so that they might be filled with compassion as we reach out in love to a broken and hurting world, a world of pain and discomfort and sadness. And God, our hearts ache for those who are hungry, those who are homeless, those who face hatred and prejudice, and those who live daily in harm's way, in the danger of war and violence. May your Spirit comfort and strengthen all those who are in need. And remembering that you have called us to hold the cares and concerns of those around us as dear to us as our own, we will remember Bob this morning, and Natalie, and Cindy, and Bill, and Peter, and Linda, and Christine. We pray that your peace would be with them all. As we now silently remember all those who have reached out to us and asked for our prayers this day. And we pray now together, God, with the words Jesus taught us, saying, "Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen." This morning, as Mary Lawrence comes forward to read our scripture, we're going to put a pause, technically speaking, on the Sermon on the Mount as we put our faith in action, but the passage you're about to hear is certainly in the spirit of the Sermon on the Mount. Acts 2 and 4 contain a beautiful description of the early church and how they lived and what they did. In Acts chapter 2, we hear that the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, fellowship, the breaking of bread, and to prayer. And Acts 4 contains a passage that describes how they lived out their faith in practical ways. Mary Lawrence will read it for us now.
All the believers were one in heart and mind. No one claimed that any of their possessions was their own, but they shared everything they had. With great power, the apostles continued to testify to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus. And God's grace was so powerfully at work in them that there were no needy persons among them. From time to time, those who owned land or houses sold them, bought the money from the sales, and put it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to anyone who was in need.
Thank you, Mary Lawrence. This morning, we are going to live out that spirit of the early church as we take a special offering, as we put together meals for hungry families in our area. We're going to hear from our outreach and justice ministry about what we do here, how we can support not only local, but also national and international hunger and relief and disaster ministries. We're going to get things started with a quick video.
Hunger is defined as a condition in which a person does not have the physical or financial capability to meet basic nutritional needs for a sustained period. It can be brought on by disasters, poverty, or fleeing conflict. The experience of hunger to those who are hungry goes deeper. Food sustains life. Responding to hunger is an affirmation of life. One great hour of sharing is responding to hunger issues, no matter the cause, both locally and globally. With programs to address the root causes of food insecurity and bring real and sustainable change by working together, side by side, one community at a time, all around the world. And with your support, we will not grow weary. We will, indeed, harvest a good crop. The need has never been greater. The opportunity is now. It's time to share.
One of the things I mentioned to the search committee, one of the things I mentioned over and over again at Outreach and Justice Committee is how impressed and amazed I am with all that this church does and the outreach that we do to support folks around. So I'm going to invite Delcy to come on up for a second, and we are going to have a little time of a moment of ministry. To fill you in on how things are going. Some folks who are here maybe are seeing our meal assembly program for the first time. So what we're going to do is Delcy and I are going to have a little talk, and we're going to tell you a little bit about one great hour of sharing. Delcy, thanks for joining me today. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
We just saw a video about one great hour of sharing. I was wondering if you could help tell our folks that are here this morning a little bit more about what that ministry does and how we contribute.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. I really like this video this year. It really covers a lot of different things. I like the way it shows how they're helping the farmers with seed, providing seed, livestock, tools, to really help them become self-sufficient. But also, and you're going to see a brochure that we put in the pews. It talks a little bit more, and there's also one of these little envelopes to help you. In case you didn't already get one in your pledge envelopes. Anyway, so on the back of this, what I really like is what it talks about. Your gifts to 1 great hour of sharing provide immediate aid, and long-term support to people experiencing hunger, thirst, disaster, or crisis around the world. And I can think of several things that have happened already this year. We've seen things on the news about the earthquakes in Afghanistan and Syria. We've seen the flooding in California. And I think our normal reaction is we want to help. We want to give something right away. In actuality, our 1 great hour of sharing monies have probably already got people working with agencies, partner agencies around the world in those spaces. So it's not like they're having to do a whole new thing to invent something. Okay, so.
I love what you said there about the 1 great hour of sharing money from last year that goes into a fund. I love what you said, Delcy, how that money is already there. That money is responding to needs as they happen. So that's fantastic. What else can you tell us about outreach and justice? Today we're calling this Making a Difference. So how would you tell some of our newer folks what Making a Difference is all about?
Do you know why we have Making a Difference Sundays?
Are you asking me?
I am.
Well, because I knew what we were going to talk about this morning.
You researched it.
I did a little research. But again, another way of being impressed with what the congregation does to reach out to the community, to be a part of the community. The Making a Difference scholarship is an award that we give to a local high school student. This church gives an award to a child, to a young adult who makes a difference. Tell us more about that, Delcy.
I guess I can skip some of this then.
You can skip this part that I just said.
Well, what I wanted to say is Making a Difference Sundays, I think, there's 3 main reasons why we do these. And the first one is the award that we do give to the Valley Regional High School graduating senior in June. It was first known as the Anti-Bullying Scholarship, if people remember. This goes back 12 years we've been doing this. And we even did it during COVID when other places couldn't do their fundraising. We were able to give the award to the senior by Zoom or whatever it was, but we did. The essay portion of this, we'll be getting the essays in May, and our committee will be looking them over. And one of the questions on it, basically the whole essay, is asking the students how they have, through activities either large or small, contributed to making a difference. So the Outreach and Justice Committee some years ago started a number of activities to demonstrate how this might be done, how really easy it can be to make a difference in someone's life or a group of lives. So we started it by assembling the Thanksgiving meals, and the first year we had a little money left over, so we said, well, maybe we can do something in the winter. I think the first one was Valentine's Day, then another one happened to be on St. Patrick's Day. But this goes along with what our mission is. I think a lot of people think at Thanksgiving or Christmas or holidays of giving. And then you get into like January or February, which is midwinter, what we call it. And with all the different kinds of expenses families have, heat, other things that come along with winter, there's not as much money for the food. And so doing this is a way to help a lot of the families, especially the ones of the children in the schools. And this is, they actually ask us, we ask who would like it, and we get a response from the schools. So.
And what I think is great too is that in terms of being a midwinter meal, it's usually been something like that, as you said, maybe February or sometime in the midwinter. This year we wanted to do it in coordination with the 1 great hour of sharing. We thought it would be wonderful. We also are able to do it in coordination with highlighting some of our other food ministries. The one thing we should have done this year, and I'll make a note of this, for next year is rather than call it the midwinter meal, we should have called it the last day of winter meal assembly program. We really didn't think that one through enough. That's
Okay.
probably my fault.
It might not be the same
since
day.
today is the last day of winter, this will be the last day of winter meal assembly program. Are there other food programs that you would like to tell us about?
Well,
Dels?
and this goes along with the food insecurity, which really can happen year-round. To help deal with this in our local areas, the Shoreline Soup Kitchen and Pantries is one of the biggest ways. Do you know how this organization got started?
I'll bet there's a Valley Shore Courier article that could tell us all how it got started.
Did people see this article? It was right at the Thursday one. Shoreline Soup Kitchen Pantries continues fighting food insecurity. So by all means, I'll have it out there if you want to look at it, or if you got it at home, read it over because it's a very good article. We also have a list of our food pantries and our meal sites here. So, the answer to the question, did you know how it got started?
Why don't you tell them, Dels? I don't want to take all your thunder.
No. I mean, did you want to ask them?
Oh, that's a great idea. Does anyone in the congregation know how the Shoreline Soup Kitchen got started? Seeing no hands, I'll defer to Delcy.
Oh, okay, I got it again. Okay, so I researched this because I wanted to be sure of the right year. 1989, the First Baptist Church, just down the street, was led by, I guess, Reverend Erica Wimber, and she had a vision. She asked the people in her church to dream about local missions. And several members had heard stories of people in need, including some that were searching through dumpsters. There were numerous contacts with local social service agencies, and we're told that there is no poverty here. So the little group over there, they decided to offer a simple meal. And with $5 in Ruth Adams' purse and a group of volunteers, they offered the first meal. 11 people came. So I guess there were people who needed some food. And as the weeks went on, it just increased. So the Shoreline Soup Kitchens and Pantries now, as you can see on the brochure, serves the residents of 11 area towns. So it went from one little meal to that. And volunteers from our congregation, so this is one of the many ways you can volunteer or help out, prepare and pack what's now curbside meals at the Baptist Church on the second and the fourth Mondays of the month. Pre-COVID, we prepared those meals and we actually sat down and ate with the clients and got to know them very well. As much as the food was important, the fellowship was just as important. And when we got ready to clean up everything, people didn't want to leave. So it really was a very successful thing.
And I think the one thing that strikes me about all of these ministries is how much it really lives out that scripture reading that you heard about how folks gathered together as the early church to break bread together, to be devoted to the apostles' teaching and to prayer. So this is an interfaith ministry, but it's also represented, a number of churches are represented in this Shoreline Soup Kitchen group. And so to be able to do that and live out the spirit of that scripture reading we heard this morning, I think is wonderful.
There is a meal site available each day of the week for people to be able to get a prepared meal. As some of them are still curbside, but some are starting to try to go back into the in-person. And there are food pantries that provide groceries 3 different days of the week. Some are daytime, some are weekend, sometimes evening. So people do have access if they are able to get there. Another thing that we do, and this has been going on for some years too, is what we call the backpack program. And you've probably heard of that. And a number of people also help out with that, packing up the meals. And these actually, for those of you who wonder why is it called a backpack program, if you don't know, they actually pack the meals into a bag and they're put into the backpacks of the children at school whose families may need some additional food for the weekends. So that's how they got the name for the program. And this is for the Regional District 4, which again I'll tell you, Essex, Deep River, and Chester. And so it really does help with it. And we also, if you've seen in the flash and the passages and so forth, we have what we call a food of the month. And this is the food of the month, just because that way we can have X number of cans of something that would be used for that. And
we also have a new partnership with the New Haven Pride Center and their food pantry program. They have an ongoing need for all of the traditional items. While our backpack program is typically highlighting one food item a month, the New Haven Pride Center has an ongoing food pantry for dry goods. There's a list that's out by the Methodist Hill entrance as well, but that's your typical dry goods, shelf-stable items that they are collecting for LGBT folks who are either homeless or food insecure as well. And so it's a great partnership for us to be connected with.
And now, the third thing, I'm sure you're anxiously awaiting my third reason why we do the Making a Difference. And because I believe making a difference is everything that we do. It gives us the opportunity to reach out to people in the community who may have some sort of need. As I think it was published in a couple of flash and also passages, we had so many donations for the Thanksgiving meal this past year. And we applied for a grant from the Middlesex Association of the UCC, which has mission project grants. And we used some money from the Jeff Snow fundraiser. So we had money left. So we're not asking for money to do this today, and hopefully not for one in a few months. I guess, to sum it up, I think back to the Baptist church and the $5 in the little purse, and it just seems to me all it is it takes an idea or a dream, a few volunteers, and donations of food, items, or money, or whatever is needed for a project. And I think we all do that. And I want to thank you. I can't say thank you enough, because I know everybody has participated. So thank you.
And we have the opportunity, as I said, to not only live out that scripture passage that Mary Lawrence read for us, but we also, when we do projects like this, live into our core values, our purpose statement and mission statement in our bylaws that says we are called to offer loving service to all people. So we are about to assemble 168 meals for our Tri-Town area families who are in need.
Tell them it's only 42 bags.
It's 42 bags, but it's 4 meals a bag. And so 168 folks will eat because of what we are about to do. And while we do it, we're going to be doing a little bit of a hymn sing as well. You'll notice how overcrowded our hymn board is this morning with all the songs that we're going to be doing. And we're just going to sing through those songs. Kevin's going to play. The ushers are going to release you. But what I really want to drive home is that while we do this, we'll be singing songs of worship. But collecting food and hearing about all the ministry that you've done over the years is also worship. As you give of your time and your talent and your treasure, that is also worship. Because all of life, when it's lived loving God and loving your neighbor, is worship. What I want you to do now is take a quick look at your bulletin. There's some directions there for how we are going to move forward. The ushers will come forward and release you row by row, or Delcy will do that. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to come down from your row, you're going to grab a bag. You're going to grab 2 packages of spaghetti. You're going to grab 2 jars of sauce. You're going to grab 1 can of Parmesan cheese and 1 bag of cookies as well, and put that all into your bag. And then what you'll do is you'll bring those bags back to your aisle and put them right along the side there. It'll make a beautiful, beautiful picture and a beautiful image for the morning. And are you going to put those in at the end? Where are you going to put those in? Fantastic. Fantastic. So this is going to be a hymn sing, a food donation opportunity. It'll be a chance to rub shoulders with folks and live out your faith. I don't know if you remember the last time we did this. I told you to wear sneakers because we were going to be kind of getting up and around and moving. So if you have your sneakers on, fantastic. If you don't remember the last one, I have the best picture of Sally Hart with a big smile on her face who said, "This was the first time I've worn sneakers to church since I can remember." So this is meant to be worship. It's meant to be fun. It's an opportunity for us to grow our faith together. So I'm going to have Kevin start our music. I'm going to have you turn to hymn number 1. And we can stay seated for these until Delcy dismisses you from your row. But let's start with hymn number 1, Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise.
5:37.
I want you all to know how much time I spent timing that out so it would end perfectly with no bags left, no food left. Big round of applause for Kevin on the organ. Kevin, thank you so much. Fantastic job, folks. Fantastic job. 168 meals. You just changed 168 lives. Feels good, doesn't it? To put your faith into practical action. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw your attention quickly to the envelope, the One Great Hour of Sharing envelope that is in your pew. There's also, if you would like to give electronically this morning, there's a QR code that's in your bulletin as well. If you're watching online, that QR code will be on the screen in just a moment. You can simply identify that as One Great Hour of Sharing in a memo line if you like, or OGHS. That would be fantastic as well. I'm going to invite the choir to come and get in place at this time. And I'm going to thank you in advance for all of your good work, for the ministries that you've supported throughout the years here at the church, for all of the good work that you do each and every time we have the opportunity to share a meal like this. There's a number of upcoming opportunities as well. We are getting ready to have our Gateway Luncheon in the spring. If you would like to be involved with that, you can see Delcy or anyone else on the Outreach and Justice Ministry team. Please feel free to do that. But again, I would love to just simply thank you in advance for your generosity. All of the work that we do is supported by your generous giving. So as our ushers now come forward, we will gratefully receive our morning offering. Let us pray. It is our prayer, O God, that these gifts, which are symbols of all that we have received from you, might be used throughout our community, our nation, and our world as a source of hope and love. May they help to proclaim the good news of your love for all people. Amen. You may be seated. Following our postlude this morning, I hope that you will join us in the parlor for some coffee and some light refreshments. And this Saturday, I hope you will join us for the parade. We're going to gather at the town hall, and we will be there at about 10:30, 10:45. The parade will start at 11 o'clock. Quick show of hands. Anybody definitely planning on being there? Show of hands, show of hands. All right, 4 people. You will all be carrying our church banner then. Fantastic. If you decide to join us on Sunday, it would be great to have you. Meet at the town hall at 10:45. Great work this morning, everyone. Great, great work. Even though it was called 1 great hour of sharing, we're going to call it 51 minutes of sharing. Wonderful, wonderful job. I hope you heard the words in one of those hymns. Christian, rise and act your creed. Let your prayer be in your deed. Seek the right, perform the true, raise your work and life anew. That hymn shows us, as I said earlier, that all of life is worship. When you pray, read, and sing, worship. When you help others, as you share and give and serve, worship. As you support the ministries of this church, worship. In the words of the last hymn we just sang, where love is lived and all is done with justice and praise. We love God and we love our neighbor. Go in peace, and thank you for sharing. Amen.